Hi everyone, today we're going to explore how is cell communicate inside our body. Okay, so the cell is just like a human needs food or messages. So our cell also have a special signaling method to send information. This signal can travel short distance and long distance, and both are extremely important for life. Hold up, it's not finished yet. Cell signaling is a communication of cells with each other to coordinate the body information. As example, like us using a phone to communicate with the other using a sharing information. So, Mark, what is local signaling?
Okay, local signaling happens over short distance. These signals act on nearby cells.
Okay, so what types of local signaling?
So there is three types of local signaling: juxtacrine, paracrine, and synaptic. For juxtacrine, uh, the signals happens when two cells are touching each other directly. In juxtacrine signaling, the signaling molecule is not released into space. Instead, it stays attached on the surface of one cell. The receiving cells must physically touch it to get the message. So, for the synaptic signaling, it happens in the nervous system, where neurons release neurotransmitter across tiny gaps called synapses. This message travels only a few nanometers but creates super fast responses. And for the paracrine signaling, the cells release local chemical that acts only on neighboring cells, like growth factors and helps tissue repairs injury.
So, Adib, what is a long distance cell communication?
Long distance signaling happen when signal travel far across the body. Hormonal signaling, for example, hormonal signaling. Endocrine gland release hormones into the bloodstream. These hormones travel long distance to reach target organs. For example, insulin to control blood sugar, and adrenaline to trigger fight or flight response.
So, Adib, is long distance cell signaling important?
Yes, it is because long distance signaling allow the body to coordinate big process like growth, metabolism, and stress response. So that's all. So Ideal, overall, why is cell signaling is important?
Cell signaling is important because it allows the entire body to work as a coordinated system.
Next, Ideal, what is the benefit of cell signaling to organism?
Okay, first it helps the body to respond to the danger. When the sensory cell will detect the danger, such as seeing something dangerous, feeling pain, or facing stress, and it will send the signal to the brain and trigger reaction like pulling your hand away. And number two, it will ensure the organ to communicate properly. It also ensures that all organs can communicate properly to keep the body balanced because all cell signaling coordinates their activity so everything runs smoothly.
Dah.
As example, digestive system. When the food enters to the stomach, it releases a signal to intestines, pancreas, and liver to prepare the enzyme and bile.
So Adil and Omar are going to talk about how cell communicate through local and long distance signaling. Let's start with local signaling, which happen over short distance.
So, for the first type of local signaling is the use the crime signaling. For the use the crime, the mechanism that occur is the signaling molecule stay attached to the surface of the cell, and the target cell must physically touch the signaling cell to receive the message. This type of signaling is important in the immune system, like when the immune cells detect infected cells. It also guides embryonic cells to decide what type of tissue they will become. So, let's move on to the second type. The second type is paracrine signaling. So, for the paracrine, a cell will release a local regulator. The local regulator is a chemical messenger that diffuses through the tissue fluid. This signal only affects nearby cells and they break down quickly as they don't spread throughout the whole body. For example, the growth factor which stimulates nearby cells to divide during wound healing, and histamine which causes nearby blood vessels to widen during injury. We move on to the last type of cell signaling, which is synaptic signaling. In this signaling type, it's used by neurons. It works by sending electrical signals called action potential that travel along the neuron. The traveling activity will reach the end of the neuron and trigger the release of neurotransmitter into the synapse. So, this neurotransmitter will quickly cross the gap and bind to the receptor of the next neuron of the muscle cell. This activates the nerve cell almost instantly. For example, acetylcholine is released by a motor neuron to make a muscle contact, and neurotransmitter like dopamine and serotonin helps neuron communicate in the brain. Okay.
Okay, so the long distance signaling usually involves the hormones. Glass release hormones into the bloodstream and the hormones travel target cells in the distant organs. I will give the example. So, as example, the pancreas releases the insulin which travel through the blood and cell take a glucose. Another example is adrenaline, which travel from the adrenal gland to multiply organs, preparing the body for fight or flight. And that's all for the mechanism of the local and the long distance cell signaling.
So for glycine signaling, it's like passing a note only when you touch the other person's hand. Now we go to paracrine. Paracrine is like spraying perfume in a small room. Only the person standing near you can smell it and the smell disappears quickly. Now for synaptic signaling, which involves neurons, it's like whispering to someone sitting right next to you. The message only reaches the person very close to you. We go to the endocrine signaling, which involves hormones. So the analogy is like sending a message through a postal system. You drop the letter into the mailbox and the delivery service carries it far away to the right house. And next, I will explain the analogy of danger responses. So, it is when the body senses danger, it is like an emergency siren going off in a city. The alarm quickly alerts everyone to take action. We now go to the last one, which is the organ communication. So the organs work like departments in a large company. They constantly send messages to each other so the whole company can run smoothly.